So let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Crack Podcast. Oh man, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Crack Podcast. You're on with your host, Mabricio Mookie Wilson, and I'm pleased to announce my two guests. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Crack Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Crack Podcast. You're on with your host, Mabricio Mookie Wilson, and I love to introduce my two co-hosts. Let's give a big round of applause for Damarcus, Beasley, and the Glow, Oguchi.
I like that. Short and sweet.
I hate it.
That's 2 weeks in a row you done the same intro.
Hey, listen, I'm going to switch it up again. I can't keep it the same, man. I can't give the same pass every time or play the same type of formation, man. It's too boring. We're not here for that, man. But ladies, I hope everybody finds us well today. It's raining cats and dogs here in New York City, and I'm glad to see that Bees is not in Houston, stranded with no water.
Yeah, but I still don't have no background.
No background. And Gooch has switched up on us, and he has a whole new background where he's flossing his All-American.
Same room, same background.
Hey, is that one picture? Is that you in college or something?
Wait, this one?
The one on the other side. Yeah, that one. What is that, a high school picture?
That one is college. Below it is Obama.
Oh, yeah. You had to throw that out.
Hey, don't worry about that. Me and Big B, yeah, we sang it.
Well, Bees, you got him beat. You have the current president that who gave you a coin or something like that.
Yeah, he did. I mean, Goose, was you there? You met Biden, didn't you?
Yeah. He toured us around the White House.
Yeah. While Obama was doing something, I think he had some other meeting he was finishing up. So Biden took us around the White House.
I bet you if he was basketball, Obama would have cut that meeting.
He would have cut that meeting. Nah, it was cool. It was cool being in the White House to see them.
Listen, man, I'm smiling from ear to ear. My Arsenal team is balling. But I wanted to talk to you guys and see your point.
Balling? Really?
What are they in 8th, 9th place?
Yeah.
10th?
Balling?
I said they are balling. Had nothing to do with the record. Had nothing to do with they are playing good football, and we have some consistency. Our defense is solid. Our attack is still getting there. And our midfield is developing with my band Partey.
Hey, but Mourinho had the best comment when they were asking, how you get beat by Arsenal, blah, blah, blah. He said, I don't quote me on this because I can't remember exactly word for word what he said, but he said, I don't look below me.
He said, I don't look down.
I don't look down. That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's a gangster comment right there. Yeah.
Which is true. And that's why we beat them up. And, that's just the reality.
Yeah, but they didn't give too much of a game, to be honest. Tottenham. I watched that game. I don't watch Arsenal very much, but I watched that game and it was Tottenham.
Mookie's making me hate Arsenal as much. Like I don't want to hate Arsenal, but he makes me.
Arsenal fans are like Dallas Cowboy fans. It don't matter what position they in.
It's like Philly, like Philly Eagles, just obnoxious.
They're always going to win. They're always going to go to the final. They're always going to win 3 or 4 championships, 3 or 4 cups. That's the same with Dallas Cowboy fans. They always they have a terrible offseason, a terrible season last season, and they think, now we're going to the ship. We the best team in the country. The same thing.
It's funny you said that. I think we're the second best team in terms of playing football currently.
There we go.
Really,
Yeah, but right. Currently, you're the 10th best team in the table. So let's just.
Everybody has a past, Gooch. We had a tough beginning of the season.
But I'm telling you, that's their current. That's their present, not their past.
Yeah, but that's the past got to stay into the 10th.
You can't even say he's like
But I just want to let everybody know our guest today is former coach Carrie Taylor, who was the first women's assistant coach.
No. She wasn't the first
in USL.
She was not the first. She was in this current era USL, but not the first in USL.
Can you explain that? So there's another era.
One before her.
The former era USL.
Yeah, apparently.
Okay, so Carrie Taylor is a coach who coached at a San Diego Loyal, who when the team first inaugural season was appointed assistant coach by Landon Donovan, and but so much things to learn from her in terms of across the board, her experiences and what she's accomplished in the U.S. landscape. So it's definitely an exciting person to have on, a lot to learn. But back to Arsenal. You saw I don't know if you guys realize, Goots, but they benched my captain, about my blood clot, Yang, for coming late, not to the game, but to a pre-meeting before the game. And, it's an important game, rivalry against Tottenham. We need every point. And for Arteta to have the balls to bench this person,
the captain.
Huh?
I said the captain. He's the captain of the squad.
And he gets paid over $300,000 a week. So your owner wants to know what the hell is going on. Gooch, would you bench your captain for coming 5-10 minutes late to a meeting prior to the game? An important game that you
200%. And I salute Arteta for that move because it sets a precedent, right? Just because you're the captain doesn't mean you get treated differently than somebody else that, was on the bench or what have you. It sucks. And everyone wants to say, oh, he was just a little bit later. He's the captain. We need him. Great. If he felt the same way, he wouldn't have been late, in essence.
But what if, things happen, right? And does it matter if he's a half an hour late or 2 minutes late?
Late is late.
You know who said it? Coach John Ellinger said, if you're on time, you're late. You have to be you have to be early to be on time.
Yeah. I remember that.
I remember in college, I got to, we had a game in North Carolina and we were taking the bus from Virginia and I got there 5 minutes late and the bus left me. I might have been 5 minutes Jamaican late. It might have been like 15.
Might have said 15, 20. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
You probably say, right downstairs. You're still in the room.
But my problem was that there was a reason for that. The time changed, and this before Twitter.
There's always a reason and an excuse.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, but so the time changed, and nobody informed me that the time has changed. And
how old were you? How old were you?
I was probably maybe 19.
And you need people to give you a text to tell you the daylight savings?
The time changed, meaning the time we were leaving, right? Say we're supposed to leave at 1 o'clock, 1:30, and leaving at 1 o'clock. And for me, obviously, I was doing too much.
How come everyone knew but you?
Because for me, I was trying to run across campus to take care of some things that had nothing to do with soccer, to try to get back to the bus while everybody else was early, waiting around. And
you know what? I can't front with because I gotta. It just crossed my mind a story about me and being late with the national team before a World Cup qualifier. And I won't go into details, but it was.
Where are we right now, Gooch?
Go into detail. I need names.
I need crack, man.
I need names, dates,
details I can.
Accomplices.
Okay. I'll give you accomplices. So it was me. It was me and Clint Matthews, basically, and I think it's some other people that wasn't a part of the squad that week. But anyway, long story short, we was in New York, and the next day we were supposed to leave to qualify. I think we were going to Grenada or something. Grenada, how you say that? We're going there to play, and we had it set up that the bus was leaving at say I think maybe noon. So Clint and I. We went out in New York City. He showed me around. That's the night I met Leonardo DiCaprio. He's in the same spot that that we was in. I'll never forget this story.
Obviously.
And so
Clint Mathis ran.
So when it happened, Clint Mathis was a legend on off the field.
He ran.
But, so how it happened was the time of the bus that was leaving changed.
Oh,
so it wasn't noon.
You threw in one of Mookie's excuses.
Yeah, but they changed the date. So they changed the time of us.
It happens,
leaving the hotel. No, they changed the time for us leaving the hotel, and we didn't know about it because they were texting everybody, so they thought it's easy. Everybody's in their room. Bruce is the coach. Everybody is in their room. Pam texts everybody and said, "Hey, we're leaving in half an hour." And me and Clint, we still in the club. We still at the spot. And we was like, oh man, blah, blah, blah. So then we had a short meeting and, we went downstairs to where everybody's getting ready. And Bruce is like, where's Bees? Where's Clint? And we're like, and everybody's trying to say, oh, they're in the room, just bring them down, blah, blah, blah. And Pam, bless her heart, was trying to help us. We're like, trying to stall to get more time and access where it's at. We jumped in a taxi and headed right to the to the hotel.
I remember this.
And then, but Pam was like, no. And obviously, Bruce got pissed and he heard about what happened and why we wasn't there. So Bruce was like, yo, just tell him to meet us at the airport. So we got to the airport as me and Clint sitting by ourselves. We got there before the team. And Bruce walked by and he's like, let me talk to y'all. And he's like, yo, I'm not, you're going to come to the game, but you're not playing. I'm not going to play you. You disrespected the team. It doesn't matter if we change the time or not. You guys went out before, I think it was like 3 days before we were about to play. Before the game, when you guys weren't supposed to, you guys should have been in your room resting, all that nonsense. So, long story short, again, we had like the veterans of the team. They went and talked to Bruce and like, Bruce, because I was supposed to start. And they went to Bruce, like, hey, Bruce, it was like Claudio, I think Berhalter was there maybe, and some other of the older guys. And they're like, Bruce, I mean, hey, we want Bees to play. We need Bees to play. This is when I was playing and starting and scoring. And they were like, I know he effed up, but we need him to play. Can you pass us off? Maybe they do a fine or whatever, but we need him to play and start. And long story short, I talked to Bruce. They said the players vouched for me to play. I ended up playing. I ended up having to.
What about Clint?
Clint didn't play. Clint didn't play. And but I went and I had to I had to use all my game bonus money, whatever, for the charity of my choice. So that was great in that. But yeah, that was I remember that story with me and Clint going to New York because I met Leonardo DiCaprio.
It was worth it?
And two, no, it was definitely not worth it. It was not worth it. Because it was before a qualifier. You know what I'm saying? We're in New York.
Was the charity of your choice the Damarcus Beasley Fund?
That's what I wanted to be, the Beasley National Soccer School.
Coach, I think I was there that night, man. Leo was
You
there.
might have been there that night.
Yeah, I think the club was named Sway. But listen, we ain't going to talk about that. Listen, the Olympics are coming up this summer, and U.S. national team has some games coming up for U.S. Olympic. And United States men have failed to qualify for 3 of the last 4 Olympics. Do you believe that?
Yeah, because we didn't qualify. Our group didn't qualify.
Well, they qualified after us in 08. 08, they went to China.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, all my thoughts and prayers and well wishes and successes go with this team because, heavy is the head that lays the crown. I mean, the last Olympics, people don't even remember because that was such a bad era, right? We missed the World Cup. The 20s didn't qualify. The 23s didn't qualify, and just everyone kind of has PTSD and just trying to forget that right now. So I think much like the current first team, there's a lot of young talent with the Olympic team, and everybody's got high hopes for them. So hopefully they take it seriously because it's not a joking matter. As Bees knows, we didn't qualify in our age group. Even though we had stars, we had Bees, Landon, all these guys.
Well, it didn't help Landon peeing on the side of the stadium. So, we was in Guadalajara and he was peeing on the side of the stadium. So that gave them more emphasis to basically kick our ass in Mexico. And we did. We got whooped 4-0. I'll never forget that. Yeah, that was whoever won that game. Was going to the Olympics, and yeah, we didn't get it done. We didn't qualify. We had one of the worst games of our lives, and it showed. So, yeah, I mean, that's probably one of my, I wouldn't say regret, but that's one thing I never did. I never went to Olympics.
Right. Damn,
I had a chance. Yeah, never. I had a chance to go when I was 17 with the group that went to Sydney in 2000, and I went through qualifying with them. Obviously, Landon and I were the 2 young guns then, and that's when they had the Wolfies, Pete Vajinas, and Sasha Victorine, those names. And I remember going through qualifying, starting a couple games, and I knew I was there. I was right there. It was between like me and Joey D.G. Marino. How you say his name?
D.G. Marino, yeah.
There you go, him. And he was coming off an injury, so I was like, okay, I got it. I'm in. I know I'm the youngest one, but I'm in. I played well. I did my thing, so I'm cool. And I remember getting a call from God rest his soul, Clive Charles, and he's like, "Beast, we're not going to take you. We're going to go with the experience of Joey. We know he's injured, but he's going to, he's going to be fit to go to Sydney." I cried. I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? I still remember that conversation that I had with Clive on the phone when he told me that I wasn't going to be a part of the Olympic team after going through qualifying, after going with them to the Pan Am Games. We won. We got the bronze that year. Doing all those things, playing with the Olympic team at a young age, and then being told I'm not going. That was like my first failure at that level. You know what I'm saying? And I remember after that tournament, when they did well though. They did do well. But I remember after that tournament, Ellinger he called me and told me after the tournament, he said, I can't remember what game they were playing. I think they played Cameroon or some team. And literally he said this to me verbatim. Clive Charles looked at John Ellinger on the sideline during the game and he said, "We should have brought B, shouldn't we?" No, and this is not coming from me. This coming from John Ellinger that Clive told him, and in the game. So I mean that obviously that made me feel good, but it's still, at that point I was a young kid. It wasn't enough because I wanted to be there. So yeah, I never went to the Olympics, man. Never.
Wow. Yeah, I mean that's you ever had an opportunity when they qualify after when you were older than U23? How they bring down one or two players?
Not overage, no.
I did.
Never offered it. Gooch?
I did. I could have gone to 2008 in China, but I kind of opted against it because I was just burnt out. That summer, it was just club, and then we had games with the men's team, and then if I'd gone to the Olympics, there would have been zero vacation or time off between going back to the regular season, back to Europe, and I was just like, I look back at it now. Did I make the right decision? Yes or no? I don't know. But I could have gone to the 08 Olympics, but decided not to.
It's funny you mentioned that because, I want to discuss with you guys about currently the international duty is in play. And a lot of teams who have international players have to now let go of their players to possibly be in danger of catching COVID when they go into these other countries or they get into camp with their national teams. Don't you think it's quite silly that at this point in time where we now have all the leagues moving, we have some consistency going, leagues are not being postponed, games not being postponed, and we now are going to risk sending players back to the national team when the last time we did this, people like Salah and others got infected when they went back to the national team? Isn't it kind of, maybe it might be pointless? You don't think we could have found a way to delay this until the end of the season was over?
I mean, but you got to understand, FIFA's about money. So you tell them they already missed so many games. Obviously, when COVID was really last year, when it was at the highest level in 2020, and they had to postpone so many games, tournaments, friendlies, all those things. So they, obviously it's a business, so they lost a lot of money. I'm sure, billions of dollars. And now you tell them that they have to do it again, especially when there's World Cup European Championship qualifying, friendlies going around everywhere, all around the world. Federations losing money. So it's, for me, I think it's about money. I think you hit the nail on the head when you said, should it be postponed again? You're putting the players at risk. You're putting the clubs at risk for players coming back from those respective companies that are in the red.
In transit.
They don't know how or when they could get COVID. So it's a very slippery situation, and I don't think that FIFA is handling it very well.
Gucci, I understand they have European qualifiers, but some of these games are even pointless too. I think England's playing versus San Marino, and it's just it's tough. If I'm in a battle for Champions League, if I'm in a battle for top four, if you're just Arsenal, period, right? You don't want to have the opportunity to have one of your top players, possibly hurting the season by having now to quarantine or getting infected or even possibly getting ill. Gooch?
You say, they're pointless, but that's kind of downplaying the smaller countries, and they're going to say it's important, right? So it all depends on your perception of what's important. I do think there's a level of risk, obviously, that these clubs are taking, and I empathize with them because, you know, it's a FIFA date, so, you know, they kind of have to let the players go or lie and fake an injury saying that they have to stay, et cetera. But it does raise the questions where some of these locations, like, they're coming back, they have to quarantine, they miss games. So what is the actual benefit? You know, it's almost like they're getting injured at international play because they're not ready for duty when they return. They can't be by mandate. So it's a sticky situation. I wouldn't want to be in it as a head coach. I wonder what the players feel like themselves, whether they should deny the selection and stay, or if that's going to hurt their chances of being on the roster in the future, or what the actual national team coaches feel like having to ask them to come play. So
yeah, not everybody has the luxury to deny it either, Bees.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, I think obviously the players are going to want to play. You know, Gooch, you and I, we would want to play. I know.
Would you want to play? Let's say when you were playing for either PSV or Man City or whatever, and you knew if you just broke into the starting lineup, if you went to international duties, you had to come back quarantine, and if you came back, I would stay. Stay, right?
I would stay. I had that situation once before with City, actually, and the qualifying. Because when I came from PSV, I was injured, so I didn't play like the first couple of games, and then obviously when I got fit, the team was doing well, so I didn't really get my chance. I was coming in a couple of games, you know, here and there. But when I was really getting to run a game is when we had a game, and Bob called me. He's like, "Hey, you know, we're going to bring you in. You know, you look fit, you look ready." And I'm like, I told him no. I said I want to stay at City because I just got my chance to play, and I'm playing well, as you said, and I want to keep that momentum. So I ended up staying at City and played through international duty. So I think every situation is different, but at the same time, COVID is still the most important thing. It's health.
Do you think when you made that decision, it affected Bob's perception of you or image of you?
I don't think so. At that time, Bob and I's relationship was good. Not saying it's bad, you know. I'm saying we had differences in different parts of our careers, our journey. There you go, better word, journey. And that's fine. You know, we've been men about it, and we've talked about that. That's no problem. But at that time, I don't think so. I think he understood it, he respected it, and he was like, "Okay, Bees, I trust you." I talked to the coach, and you know, he agreed. So there you go.
But you said it though, Bees. You're talking about health. You're not talking about injuries. You're not talking about places in the game. You're talking about health, and I think that has to supersede everything else. 100%. You know, and but if you look at the U.S. national team, we have two friendlies, which are meaningless games, right? And we play Northern Ireland. We also play Jamaica and Austria, and you can see Juventus. I'm sure they told Wes, "Where you going?"
Yeah, but at the same time, I wouldn't use the word meaningless because you know they got to get ready for qualifying.
Yes,
you're looking at Greg Berhalter, and you look at the last year, he hasn't had his team.
Yes,
you know he's had.
Well, they haven't even had strong competition.
Yeah, well, that too. But I'm just saying, like, to get your team, you know, national team is all about those a week or 10 days that you have with the players. After that, you speak to players and you watch how they play. But having the group together is the most important thing that you can do with a national team. And Greg hasn't had that, you know. So I wouldn't say meaningless. I wouldn't call it meaningless. These friendlies, they're important. Even though they play, well, the first game is against Jamaica, right?
Yeah, the 25th.
In Northern Ireland. So. I think both of them be good tests for the group that's going to be with the national team. But to call them meaningless, I think they're important in Greg's eyes and all of our eyes to get the team ready for qualifying because that's what they're going to have to do next.
I think when he says meaningless means they're not official, right? They're friendlies or whatever. So it's
use a different word.
Yeah, he should. Yeah.
Hey, Goose, listen. If people don't realize, I'm on here to be the bad guy. To spark up the situation. So it's okay. Mookie said it's meaningless. It's okay. I take it. I've always been the bad guy. But that gave the opportunity to Bees respond the way he responded. So it worked out. But I just also want to give a flag up that Jamaica, when they face USA on the 25th, which is coming up in a couple of days, is that we do not have our real team. because of the
Look at him. Sidebar.
We have a lot of new players who are getting their first cap. I don't know if Gooch and Beasley realized that a lot of English players with Jamaican backgrounds have now reached out to Jamaica, or Jamaica's reached out to them, and have filed for passports and citizenship to represent Jamaica for the next World Cup qualifying. And obviously, a lot of teams in CONCACAF have done that, but you see now it's really spicing up again, right? And
yeah, they know World Cup is coming, so they're trying to get in Jamaica and try to. Where they play at? Most of England, right?
Most of them play in England.
Okay, so they're not going to be in the English national team.
Nah.
The only chance they got to play in the World Cup is Jamaica.
So you have a lot of first timers coming up playing this upcoming game. So for you people who don't know who're going to watch the game, just let you know.
I got questions. I got a question to the only Jamaican on this podcast right now.
Right here.
What is the sentiment in Jamaica with all these English players wanting to come back? Do you think it is similar to now we having all these dual citizens coming on the national team, whether from Germany or from England, et cetera? Is there any kind of, I don't know, animosity on the rift? There we go. From the Jamaican front saying, my man's not from here, right?
Yeah. Initially meaning like, going back a couple World Cup cycles, there was a lot of rift, right? It was like,
I remember those stories.
Yeah. Who are these people? I remember myself, who's raised in America. When I went into Jamaican national team camp, I mean, a lot of people look at you as a foreigner, and taking a space and taking a spot from somebody who was raised there, who they feel really needs it a lot more than you. But unfortunately, now times have changed, and the past couple World Cup cycles, we have not qualified. And they have realized now that these people who have ancestors or have relationships with Jamaica really do have affection for the country, and they're a lot more acceptable, and they want to win. They want to get there as fast as they can. And they realize these people are playing at a level that Jamaica just can't compete, because we don't have the infrastructure inside of Jamaica, inside of our professional leagues, to really compete with, playing in the championship or the Premier League or something to that, or even MLS. So, yeah, that's a great question, Gooch, and things have changed. And if you see Haiti, if you see
Curacao?
Yeah, what is it called?
Curacao.
And you see Grenada now has reached out, so a lot of these Caribbean countries are realizing that they need and they have no choice to compete in the world level, because they don't have the funding and the infrastructure at home. They have to do this. And USA realized that many years ago, and currently how many players like Dest, who else we have on the U.S. national team who are
Brooks.
not
Brooks.
Musa.
Yeah.
So
what's the one that just said he's going to play for the national team? What's his name? Who's the forward?
Yeah. Good luck with that one.
What's his name?
I've never watched him play.
Hold on 1 second. I'll tell you in a second.
I can't remember his name. But yeah, Mook, yeah, you're right.
But what you don't see a lot is Mexico doing that. That's because they have a great domestic league, right? And they have a federation that's highly funded. So they're able to develop the talent locally. But you do see some Americans, right, going over there, Bees.
In Mexico, you have a club that's specifically for Mexicans.
Yeah.
That's it. There's only one, I think, and I don't quote me if I get this wrong, but I think the only time that they thought of bringing in maybe one or two, I'm not saying it's the only time, but I know one of the times that they were thinking about bringing in a non-Mexican player was Gucci's friend and my friend as well. You know who that is?
Landon Donovan?
No. Jurgen Klinsmann.
Yeah.
He. I remember he spoke about that at one point, that they were thinking about bringing him to Chivas, but obviously they never did. But that was, I think there's a couple other instances where they thought about bringing in a non.
Jordan Sebachu.
Okay, there you go, Sebachu.
Where does he play, Gooch?
Yeah,
he plays in France. He plays for Rennes, but I think he plays in Switzerland right now. Striker.
Yeah, so he's another one.
Yeah. So in
The
Mexico,
world's changing, man. The world's changing. It's just not isolated to your borders. Obviously, I got roots in Nigeria, and I actually, before getting my first call up with the national team, I was dancing on trying to go to the Nigerian national team. And at that time, I was cup tied because I played games with. At that time, the rules were different, and because I played with the Olympic teams, I couldn't do it. But
Yo, this is Damarcus Beasley. Thank you for listening to the Crack Podcast. Make sure you subscribe and like now.
you know, because I wasn't born there, I didn't grow up there. It doesn't mean I don't consider myself Nigerian, right?
Exactly.
110%. So there are these people that have roots that want to, you know, even Greg, what's the player that has dual citizenship, American, Mexican? He basically told him, you know, you should go right now to the Mexican camp just so you can see what you want to make your decision, because you've already been to the US, you know, balance your decision, make the right decision. Nobody's going to force you. And like you said, the world it's changing. It's not just Americans have to be born in America or what have you. And that extends to other countries. So
as long as they know what it means to play for our country. I can't speak for any other country, you know, but I'm sure it's the same in any country. As long as you know what it means to play for Jamaica or your respective country, then you should be accepted. Simple as that. If the coach thinks you're good enough, you should play.
Gucci, I'm glad you brought that up. The Efrain Alvarez from LA Galaxy, right? Who's born in Mexico, but raised in California. And for Greg Berhalter to say, hey, go check it out. Does that mean that Greg maybe doesn't rate him as high as the public thinks? Or
I personally think he's just trying to play the psychology of it.
Is that good though? Yeah. Because once he goes into the Mexican, are we allowing him to? Should we be more aggressive, right? And say, listen, here go a car.
I respect Greg because
wait. You didn't hear that comment. He said, here goes a car.
There goes a GM truck, All-American Cadillac.
The boy is split, right? He has Mexican heritage, but he also has a culture in America. He plays in America. So I think any time you're going to be tied, you're going to want to make the right decision. And I respect Greg for giving him that opportunity to make that decision on his own and not being like, oh, America's the best. Of course you think America's the best, but maybe he doesn't personally feel that way after he is acclimated to the Mexican system. And you wouldn't want a player that's unhappy with you at the end of the day. So as good as he is, and that wants to be there. Go ahead.
No. And at the end of the day, you want players that want to be there.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to, you know, like you said, I know you're just bullshit, but, you know, give him a car, give him a house. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know we just joking around, but, you know, you want him to want to be on the national team, the U.S. team. You know what I'm saying? If he doesn't want to.
But you know what Mexico's going to do?
You do your due diligence as far as, you know, tell him how good, you know, the players around you are, tell them that the plan for the next 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, you know, tell them they're going to be watching them. They've watched them grow up, as you know, all the good things to try to
butter him up.
Yeah, butter up to say, okay, you should, you know, at the end of the day, choose us. But we're leaving it to you. It is your decision.
What if he looks at it?
Want to be here?
What if he looks at it like, how badly do you want me? If you allow me to go over to the other side, and you know what they're going to do?
Then go. Then I'd be like, go.
They're gonna find a way to tie him, right? They're gonna find a way to tie him into the playing Gold Cup games or whatever. And if he scores in the finals in the Gold Cup against us,
but he chose it. But he chose. That's what he wants to do. You can't.
No, but
you can't fault Greg or US Soccer about that.
The emphasis lies in the word that you use, forced. Why would you want to force anyone to anything?
Yeah, they gotta want to be.
Force him to be on the national team.
Not force, but you can not say manipulate, but you can.
The same difference.
Force, right?
Give him a call.
It's synonymous.
Nah, but you can coerce. You can be aggressive. You can be persistent.
I'm sure they are.
I think Bees gets women. Bees gets women.
I'm done.
No comment. Next subject. What else are we talking about? Is that it? I think, you know what?
That's a good segue. Yeah, this is a good segue right there.
Yeah, you know what? Call it a day.
Listen, but
where's Carrie? Is Carrie?
Carrie, are you there? Carrie. But speaking about women coaches and stuff, I saw an article, Mönchengladbach a team in Bundesliga. The U23 coach recently, he got into some trouble in the game and he was suspended. And I guess the Bundesliga gave him a punishment. He had to, I think it was like 1,500 euros was his punishment for his mannerism on the sideline. And also they told him that he had to coach the U23 women's team for 6 sessions. Don't you think that's kind of disrespectful to the women's game? I mean, to act like that's a punishment is to go coach the women's team.
Was it the U23 team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did they say it was punishment?
It was part of his discipline was to.
They use. I'm with you on that. They use the word punishment.
Who did? The club or the FIFA?
Well,
the club didn't do it. It's not the FIFA, but the federation in Bundesliga who put out the sanction, who put out the discipline, said that it's $1,500 fine, 1,500 euros fine, plus you have to go do 6 sessions with the women's team.
Like a criminal has to do community service or something like that?
Exactly, basically.
And I tell you what, they said that they called back for a response after the article came out about punishment, and they refused. So they don't care that
they don't value
that word. Yeah, they don't care that the word punishment was used. I think that's what they intended to be. And yes, 100% disrespectful, sexist, any other word you can use, because I think football is football.
Football is football.
And if the coach if he was, I think he was unsporting behavior towards referees, then he get his fine and whatever other fines you should have. But to say that as punishment is coaching women's soccer, that's disgusting for me. That's in my opinion. It's
ignorant. It's tone deaf. It's everything.
It's dumb.
It's just dumb. It's stupid. And yeah, I don't know who even approved that message to even go out into the world. That's ridiculous right now. Foolish. I don't know. It's dumb. It's silly.
So it shows you how far, how much more that European countries, particularly Germany, has to go in terms of how they treat and value the women's game, and at least at a club level, as we should say. But somebody who's definitely been fighting and been a leader in the women's game in this country is our next guest. I want to bring to the room. Let's give a big welcome and much love to Coach Carrie Taylor.
Good morning, guys.
Hey, Carrie, good morning.
Nice to meet you, and Gooch, good to see you again.
Damn, she got the professional setup with the microphone.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that painting in the background.
I host my own. You like my poster?
You making us look bad.
Yeah, we lose it in life right now.
That's all right. So that poster was from the Women's March in Washington, like right after Trump won, and everyone was totally pissed off. So I got that. Somebody handed it to me. I rolled it up, put it in my suitcase, took it home. And that's like literally my favorite trinket that I've ever gotten, because it meant so much. Nice. And it was just like a powerful moment. So thank you for liking my poster.
No worries.
Carrie, when we get off of this podcast, you're going to have to hit up Damarcus Beasley and teach him how to put together a professional.
Hey, I'm at my mama's house, so y'all got to cut me some slack.
Big shouts to Mama Bees.
I do gotta say, I do like your banner too. My uncle went to Michigan.
Oh, cool.
So I know you're from Flint. Flint. My uncle went to Michigan, so he's all ready for the March Madness.
Yeah.
And he loves Juwan Howard. And
when was he there? Do you know what years?
Man, I want to say I don't remember. It's definitely in the 90s.
Okay, I'm old, so I was there 90 through 94 when the Fab Five were there. So
yeah, he was there then. Yeah,
it was awesome.
Okay,
I probably partied with your uncle.
Probably did. Yeah, he's not shy about his drinks. So that's what's up.
Well, listen. Are you currently in Michigan right now, Carrie?
No, I'm in San Diego. So got some
there.
Sunshine going on.
Well, I want our listeners to know that Carrie was the first appointee by Mr. Landon Donovan when the franchise. She's a firster, right? The first team, and she was appointed assistant coach of the men's USL Championship team down in San Diego, and that's how we got myself and Bees, I know we first heard about you, but your story and your soccer legacy travels all the way back to Flint.
Travels, all the way back to Flint Town. I'm a
Flint
Flintstone.
Hey, listen, Carrie, I'll be honest with you, before we talk about soccer, I wanted to talk about a little bit about Fab Five experience in that time period.
Absolutely.
How cool that was to be on Michigan campus when the whole world, because myself, I was in high school that time, and all my shorts were baggy. I had black socks playing on varsity.
They changed the culture.
Changed the culture. And tell us a little bit about the impact on campus and kind of how it changed the parties.
Woo, yeah. So I was a sophomore when they came in, and I mean, talk about like vibe and hype and just swag. It was unbelievable. And I had basketball season tickets, 91 and 92. So, I mean, the guys were there like 2 years, but the excitement that they brought to campus, the competitiveness, the just like, we're going to shock their mantra was, we're going to shock the world. And it was unreal. And I remember like vividly, I think, I don't know which year it was, but they went to the playoffs in Kentucky and they won, and like the guys were up on the scorers table, like doing the cabbage patch and everything. And I was like, oh, it's on. And it was so much fun. And then I also remember like the crushing, heartbreaking when Weber called the timeout, and like
crazy.
I was devastated because truth be told, my soccer number was 4. Chris Weber was 4. I remember watching that game, and we're all playing a drinking game. And every time Chris scored, like if you had to pick a player, and every time your player scored, you had to take a drink. So Weber was mine, and then he messed up. And I just remember like, I was literally crying when that happened, just because, as a student, you got so into it, and it was amazing. And, Jawan is the head coach now. And that to me is so special because, he might've come to a couple of our house parties. So I remember, being around him a little bit, but his big thing was he always wanted to.
She tried to stay politically correct. I might remember.
I was going to ask you, how many points did Chris Webber score that day?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I think a few, because I think I was a little buzzed, but Jawan was always just the level calm one in the group, I think, of the Fab Five. And his big thing was, and like Gooch, I know you did this as well, he went back and finished his degree, and because he made that promise to his mom.
Right.
And, now he's come full circle, and he's coaching at the school that he had such a big impact on. So I have the utmost respect for Jawan Howard and just what he's been able to do, as a person, as a basketball coach, as a human. I think his son now plays for him as well, I'm
so glad you brought that up, because recently Jawan had a little controversy, and you as a coach, I want you to chime in on that. Jawan obviously was coaching Michigan University. I forgot who they're playing against. And there was a controversial call, and Jawan was animated and the opposing coach kind of like rushed towards him. And Jawan, who's from Chicago, was like, listen, I don't care where I am, but if somebody's going to rush towards me, I have to be going defense mode. And he kind of obviously overreacted, and it was the teammates trying to hold him back, because he really wanted to understand from the coach's point of view what he was trying to do. But in saying that, do you have, I know you're a very intense person and very competitive. Do you have any, have you had any altercations or any moments on the sidelines with the opposing coach?
Oh, yeah. I'll put it this way. You can take the girl out of Flint, but sometimes you can't take the Flint out the girl. Yeah, I mean, from a coaching perspective, you're human still, and while you're trying to embody all the leadership qualities and you're trying to, hold it together for your players, like, there's times where, I've been called a soccer mom. I've been called like,
Ooh.
who's this B thinks she is, like, I've been from coaches, and, sometimes I've popped something back at them. Sometimes I've talked to the referee and said, like, let's get a handle on this. But I had a situation, I was coaching a youth game, and it was state cup finals, and a coach basically verbally attacked me, and I just told the referee what he said, and he actually threw the coach out. But it took a while.
Yeah.
But he removed the coach, and like you're trying not to take anything away from the game or the team, but again, we're all human, and the same thing on the soccer field. There's times where like somebody hits a trigger, and you're going to defend yourself, or you're going to stand up for yourself, and we all should stand up for ourselves at different times. But
fight or flight.
I mean, I think everybody has that line. It could be family, it could be some race, obviously, but everyone has that line where, okay, if you go past that, there's always you can talk shit, you can say things about them as a player, whatever, but there's always that line of when you cross that, then there's no more sports.
Bees, what's your line, Bees?
What's up?
What's your line?
Mine is family and race. You can say something about me, how I sucked as a player, I'm skinny, I'm bald-headed, any of those things, cool. That's that's banter.
All those truths.
You know what I'm saying? But anything like that, I'm cool with. You keep it in the game. But once you go to family and race, it's a wrap for me. It's soccer is no more in the conversation.
Yeah,
makes sense. That makes sense. So Carrie has a Sasha Fierce side that comes out every so often. I see on the sideline.
Sometimes, yeah, it can happen. It can happen.
So and I just got confirmation. My uncle was there 87 to 91.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so y'all might have had some parties, and when he was a upperclassman and you were coming in. So
that's cool.
Bees, leave it alone. Your uncle's married now.
I'm just saying. I was texting my uncle, so I was connecting the dots. Yeah.
What happened in Michigan stays in Michigan.
Carrie, so you've been involved at every level, it seems. Youth, club, college, professional, now on the executive. I mean, you've been in an executive side before now. What's your favorite role? What do you feel like kind of resonates with you best? Because you've done it all, essentially. Yeah,
that's a really good question. And I think it's evolved as I've gotten older, to be honest. Being on the field, impacting people through coaching, on the field has been a big part of my life. Like I've coached youth, I've coached high school, college. I enjoyed the college age group for quite a while. So that was impactful. Now I've kind of realized that the grind of being on the field day in and day out, I've reached kind of my quota on that. I'm involved with, the Jamaican women's national team, which that type of, you go into a camp here and there and you're training for big events periodically. Right. That is enjoyable. But as far as, one of the projects that I'm working on now, kind of being more of a, leader, project manager, front office type person. I think that's.
But you leaving the field?
I will be. Well, I'm not necessarily. Well, no, I have like 3 jobs, so.
You're a footballer. That's all right. Hey, listen, you're coaching Jamaican. You're consulting Jamaican national team. I don't know if you know about Jamaicans, but we have 10 jobs. So
yeah. well, then I must have some Jamaican in me somewhere. But no. So one of the projects that I'm working on now is to create and get sanctioning for an additional women's professional league in the US. So it'll sit underneath NWSL. So sort of like the USL is to MLS. So that project at this point in my career is really, really resonates with my heart and what I want to do to help grow the game for women.
That's great. I mean, wow, I can't believe I'm just taking in all the things that you just said that you've been involved in. And I think that's incredible. How hard was it to start off a professional team in San Diego And also, how did you go about getting the job, and as well as even, feeling confident that you can coach on that level in the men's side and feel that you'll be received by them as well?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, how it came about was rewind 3.5 years ago. I was working on the MLS project to try to bring an MLS team to San Diego, and that's kind of how I got connected with Landon. I was working for the ownership group that was kind of putting the money forward.
Oh,
and
wow.
and we worked like side by side for 2.5 years and whatnot. That project failed. It was very heartbreaking, and I think I had some PTSD from it. But then the USL project came along, and Landon was like, "Hey, like, do you want to help out? Like, I'd love your help." And so I was really reluctant at first to get like back into something, because I was kind of thinking like, what if this fails? Like, I don't want to go through it again and whatnot. And so, you know, he and I always kind of bounced ideas off of each other, and he would ask my opinion on things. And through that process, one day he called me and he was like, "Hey, what if I hired a female assistant?" And at the time, I didn't really want to get back into coaching, but I blurted out, "Well, well, why don't you consider me?" And then,
Nice.
You said nice when she said she wasn't even thinking about it.
I wasn't even, I wasn't thinking about it, but it just like came out of my mouth. And then it took like a couple months. And one day Landon was like, "Let's go to lunch." And so we went to lunch, and he asked me if I wanted to be his assistant. And, I'd coached men before. I'd started a Division III soccer program at the College of Mount St. Joseph in Cincinnati. And, so I had coached 18 to 22-year-olds men before. I had never coached professional men. But, soccer's soccer. And I think if you know the game and you can communicate information and you can be real and authentic with people, like the players responded fine to me. Like I had, I still keep in contact with a lot of them. One of them we actually might sign for the new project with Stumptown.
Scalping players.
Well, hey, they got released. They need a place to play. So
they can come to Fort Wayne. I'm just saying,
there you go. There you go. Or Bees, you could come out of retirement.
Yeah. More like Gooch.
Yeah. So, as far as being a woman coaching men, again, soccer is soccer. And I was up in NorCal at a Path to Pro event, and I coached a women's team and a men's team at that, player camp or combine or whatever you want to call it. And honestly, I think the coaches and like sometimes outside people have more problem with a female coaching men than the players do. And that,
yeah, you said football.
What can you do?
Football is football, right?
Yeah.
If you have the knowledge, no matter your gender. I wonder, to Bees and Gooch, have you guys through your travel ever came across a women's coach inside of the game or within your club? So that's what makes it so special, right?
I haven't personally. Definitely not in Europe.
So I think we have to credit Landon for having the idea. I thought it came from the ownership group, or I thought maybe you just the best candidate, right? But Landon specifically wanted to hire a woman's assistant coach. Did he explain to you what was his thought process and what inspired him to do that?
I really don't want to speak for Landon on that. I don't, I can't.
No, I thought he might have told you maybe.
I think we had worked together for so long that we had built up some trust. And, I think that it was, to his credit, he does think outside of the box on some things.
Yeah.
I think it was more the fact that, he had seen my work. He had seen, how I carry myself, how I deliver information and different things like that. So, I mean, I would hope that I was like qualified as a coach and less.
Yeah. But initially you said that he wanted to hire a women's coach, and then you was like, "What about me?"
Yeah.
So I thought that maybe why was he specifically?
I didn't honestly ask him why he had that thought.
Yeah.
He's probably going on the whole diversity train and like trying to make be more inclusive in some respect, because nobody else at that time, although she wasn't, I don't believe you're the first female, but I think in this current era, you're the first female coach in the USL. So at that point, there wasn't any kind of visibility of female coaches.
Which is brilliant, right? And it's historic, and that team was a pretty good team that was put together. What was your relationship, your ties to San Diego prior to that? The city.
Well, I had come to San Diego to work on the MLS project.
You actually went there to work on it. Gotcha.
Yeah. So, and then I was up in Orange County area and working at a youth club up there.
Okay.
Came down to San Diego, and I love San Diego. Like, I really don't ever want to leave San Diego.
Is that nice, right?
How involved were you in building that roster for the first year? Like,
very. So, we announced that the team was coming in June of 2019, and then we hadn't decided on whether we were gonna play in 2020 or not. And then our owner said, yeah, let's do it. So we basically put together the team from, I want to say, like October to January when the camp started. So, Landon would send me a group of players and I would watch film and go give like my feedback of, yes, I like this, and this player does this, or this player's body shape is poor when he receives the ball with his left foot, or, just different little things like that. So, we had the paper on the wall and writing, the depth chart and who could play where and all of that. So, I'd like to think that I had a big part in it. And, as a startup team, our philosophy was one that, like, we weren't going to like get a big star to come in and carry the team. It was more about just building a good foundation in year one, and guys who fit into the culture, and trying to, not put the expectation of like, oh, we have to win in year one. It's like, let's get the culture right in year one and then build on that. So,
what I always wondered, I mean, everybody knows of Landon's reputation as a player. Does that translate in any way as a coach? And don't try and be nice or PC. Like, first of all, this is a crack, right?
This is the crack.
We air everything out, and for better or for worse.
Yeah.
Is he a great coach? Is he an okay coach, or is he, just a face?
He's a very good man manager. Nate Miller, who is now the associate head coach, Nate and myself to a smaller extent, actually ran the practices. I mean, Landon was there, like he's doing individual coaching. He's, addressing the team. But as far as like putting together the training sessions and implementing the training sessions, at least last year, I can't speak to what's going on this year. That was more Coach Miller, myself, and our goalkeeper coach.
Answer is he was the face.
Well, I mean, if I would say, just to his, I wouldn't say credit because I've never seen him as a coach, but I'm saying, because when we were growing up, man management was everything. I mean, when I was at Rangers, Walter Smith, one of the greatest managers in world football at Rangers, he was a man. We would never see him at training.
Right.
I would never. Ali McCoy.
Yeah, but you're talking about a level of football where.
But no, I'm just talking about
you have so many coaches.
Level. I'm just talking about that's what he.
The kind of coach
he probably knows. Yeah, that's what I knew. And not a lot of coaches that I had were tactical when I was growing up. Were tactical, and obviously Bob in Chicago, but it was different. You know, so I can kind of understand where he would get. Well, he would relate to that kind of coaching more so than the tactical part.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you guys this. Like, when you guys were on the national team and Bruce was the coach, he wasn't running the sessions, was he? He was overseeing, or?
Bruce was a little bit of both.
Yeah, he ran the sessions.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He was a bit of both.
But I think Bruce is known because he is a good person manager.
Right.
Okay.
But he did run sessions as well.
Yeah,
that's interesting, because I always wanted to know this about Landon, because nobody even knew he had interest in coaching until it was announced he was the head coach. So
well, to be honest, I don't think he even realize it. So
didn't he hire himself? Because first he was the general manager or the sporting director or whatever his role.
I mean,
is.
that's job security, right?
Yeah, right. And then he hired himself. He's like, okay, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna be the coach.
He was looking at ideas about you.
No, I ain't touching that.
He was looking at all the lists. He was like, you know what? I'm the best qualified for this right now. I'm just gonna put myself down for it.
So now that we're speaking about San Diego and some of the good times that you had with the club and starting it and really having that foundation and the culture of the club. So what made you leave? What made you kind of change your mindset about, okay, this is not for me. I want to go to something different.
Yeah. Great question. I think we all know, being in football for as long as all of us have been, that sometimes all that glitters is not gold. And, that what is portrayed on the outside to the public might not necessarily be the same on the inside. And when ideas or core values or culture is off, I don't want to say wrong, when that doesn't match, sometimes it's best to just not continue. And so, that's one thing that, I have young coaches sometimes reach out to me and they're like, I'm in a club, but I don't feel good. I don't feel that I align with what they're trying to do. Something's off. And I encourage people to if you're in a situation that might not be 100% for you. And sometimes you have to have courage and you have to, be okay with taking yourself out of that situation.
Yeah.
Or sometimes that organization might take you out of the situation. So when there's, sometimes some conflict, it's okay to say, you know what, this isn't working, or this isn't for me, or it's time to move on. So
it wasn't a club that let you go. It was you who decided on your terms that this wasn't for you and you wanted to move on. Or was it mutual?
I think it was more of a mutual situation, in some ways. So yeah, I mean, every experience teaches you something, and I wouldn't trade what that experience at Loyal afforded me. It's definitely prepared me for wonderful things in my career. I was able to use my skill set to help the club and help Landon and help something grow. But yeah, some again, all that glitters is not gold.
Right.
That's a good.
I'm curious because from an outsider, all right, and I'm going to speak from the fans' perspective or people that aren't associated with the club. It's, Landon Donovan, headlines, Carrie Taylor, female first assistant. Then they're making all this splash when the whole homophobic stuff was said last year, and they seem like this club or they're so woke, right? I need to understand, because that looks, it's glittering, right? And I'm like, oh, this is gold. Without getting too deep into the weeds,
No. Get deep in the weeds. Get deep in the weeds.
All right, get deep in the weeds. Get that weed whacker.
Get that real conversation.
Get that weed whacker out. What was the falsehood behind what they're showing? Is it it's just two-faced? Is it they're showing a perspective of them that's just not even real?
Yeah. So I can only speak for me. I can only speak for me personally. And what kind of how I felt, how things were with my situation. They said they wanted a female coach. I'm a strong personality, and I'm going to tell you what I think. I'm going to give you my opinion. I am going to fight for what I believe in. And sometimes it was, it was received as, well, Carrie's aggressive or Carrie's hard on people. And I'm like, well, I'm trying to keep a professional standard here. So if somebody's not doing their job, I'm going to hold them accountable. Well, I also have to look at myself, and I think I've had growth, from this experience that, not everybody thinks the way I do, or not everybody works the way I do. So like, I've had to work on myself to say, okay, maybe I need to deliver information to staff in a different way. But, there's a difference between talking the talk and walking the walk. So, and it's not, I don't want to say it's just with San Diego, like, with the whole Black Lives Matter thing and everything that's been going on in our world, and, our presidential, to me, you can't just slap on a t-shirt and be like, yay, I support this. Like, you have to try to live that in everything you do. And if you don't, you're full of shit. Like, honestly, that hacks me off to no end. So, yay, it's great. Everyone's, suddenly everyone's putting on t-shirts and selling Black Lives Matter merchandise.
Talk, girl.
So no, like, no, don't do, don't be a culture vulture. And, because you're in a Latino community, start selling Dia de los Muertos shirts and have an English guy being the model. Like, hello. Like, are people that dumb? No.
Well, is this what you expressed to them, and they were like, "Oh, she's aggressive."
This was after. But this speaks to B's how I am. Like, if there's a situation and you ask me if Landon asked me my opinion, I didn't care that he was Landon Donovan. I told him what I thought. Like, I was definitely not a yes person. And there are people out there, that hold famous people to this standard and are like, yeah, whatever you want. And like, you don't want those people. I don't want yes people around me when I'm putting together the women's pro league. Like, I want people to tell me, Carrie, that's a stupid idea. Why don't you think about this? Or you haven't thought about that.
And that's what you pay for. That's your job title, right?
Right. And so, again, it takes two people to interact. It takes two personalities to interact, but when there's situations where like a male coach gets his contract in 2 weeks and a female coach, it takes 2 months to get the same contract, there's a problem. And when that problem's called out, then sometimes there could be an issue. And so
did you feel you were hired just as like you said, a look and
checking a box?
Yeah, checking a box, and they didn't really expect you to be so wise and so aggressive, and that's what really made them so vulnerable, made them so insecure?
Again, I don't know. I can't put myself in. I can't put myself in other people's shoes. I mean, again, I respect Landon a ton. We are friends. But sometimes maybe friends shouldn't work together.
I just had a quick, because you talked about a little bit about the values of the club, and it didn't really align with what you thought of or what you were about. And I did a little dig. I went to your website, and your personal values, your core values is respect, hard work, diversity, excellence, and honesty. So my specific question is, if you can speak about it, to be honest, what was that value that you saw that didn't align with what you value? Because you said, you kind of went around it, but I was saying, like, what was exact? If you can speak,
what situation happened? You was like, enough is enough, man.
Yeah, I mean, because values are important for a person, for a club, for an organization, for everything. And if you're not, if you don't feel that, if you feel, okay, we're supposed to be about this, and this.
Bees, name the values.
Her value. Well, these are Carrie's values.
Yeah, from my website. He's Googling me.
Yeah,
tell me.
Respect, hard work, diversity, excellence, and honesty. So those are Carrie Taylor's core values. So I just want to know if she can speak on it. If there was, or which value did they say they were about and they weren't?
Yeah, this is a good one.
So
you got 5 options.
What's that?
You got 5 options.
I got 5 options. I think it boils down to I think it boils down to honesty. I think if someone, so let's say if I'm being harsh to someone, if I'm being too hard on somebody in the organization and my boss sees that, that person should come to me and go, hey, Carrie, like maybe you need to work on your communication, or I have a problem with what you just did there, and not let something fester or not let something not be dealt with, because it's just like a relationship with your wife or husband. Like if there's something bothering you, you can't let it fester. You can't let it continue to build, because then at some point it's going to blow up. And, that piece of, we have to be honest first with ourselves, and then we have to be able to be honest with each other. And that honesty and communication, it's hard in business. It's hard to critique people. It's hard to have tough conversations. And, sometimes people aren't necessarily prepared to be a manager of people and have those tough conversations. Sometimes it's, we're just going to move on. We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it. And that's not healthy. That's not healthy for anyone. So again, any sports organization, you set these core values and you set your mission, but you can't just have it painted on the wall. Like you actually have to be intentional about working with the people in your organization to go through of like, what does, excellence look like, and how do we achieve excellence, or what does respect look like? How do we learn to respect each other and learn to, have honest, constructive conversations? So, it's not just within San Diego Loyal, it's within any sport organization. Like you have to be able to walk the walk. And I am definitely not perfect. I've made a ton of mistakes in my career. I've been a club director and tried to set culture and core values. And, I've learned really tough lessons along the way. So, again, no one's perfect.
It's interesting because you speak about, if you want to sum it all up, lip service, right? Words versus actions. And then you talk about communication. And you hear, the saying, communication is key. Personally, I think comprehension is key, because you can communicate all you want. If the person doesn't understand it, he's not resonating, it's just talking to a wall, right? Yeah. And I think that's how a lot of people find they're miscommunicating with other people, and not miscommunicating. They're just not taking the time to actually comprehend what's being said on both sides. So that's interesting that, that side of the 5 values. I'm sure there's more, but that's the 5. That's the one that you wanted to touch on right there. I would actually probably, I don't want to speak for you. You don't have to respond yes or no, but it sounds from what you're saying, a little bit of respect might have been missing. You highlighted the example of, a male coach getting his contract in 2 weeks versus a female getting hers in 2 months or something like that. Yeah. So there's an element of respect as well that could fall under that. I'm not going to speak for you. This is my.
Yeah. And, I think that's something that, I don't want to speak for you guys either, but that's an element of, being either a woman or a person of color within life and within sports. It's almost like you always have to continue to fight for respect. And, I'll share a story. I was in Charlotte this past weekend, and I was picking up boxes from the soccer office, and I'm picking up the box, and this guy looked at me. He's like, "Oh, are you a soccer mom?" And I was like, no, I'm actually the operations director for this professional club. Nice to meet you. Wow. And
fired.
Sometimes people don't understand the lack of respect that they put out there. I think it's, people have blind spots, and they don't realize sometimes, if someone goes, "Carrie, don't take that so personally." Well, what is that? Like, that's
they can't tell you how to receive it either, right?
Right. And so like I think like respect, yes, is a big thing. That is consistently, if you're different, you have to consistently prove yourself, and you have to like, it's not like I can walk into a room and people automatically respect me. Whereas, I'll be honest, Landon walks into a room and people automatically respect him. So it's like,
but he earned that as well, right? Because when I walk into a room, I'm not gonna give the same respect Landon's gonna give, and unfortunately, that's how people they judge, and you have the situation where people are celebrities and stuff like that. So I definitely understand what you're saying, but
yeah, but here's my point. He walks into a room as a coach, and they automatically respect him. He's coached 1 year. I've coached since I was 15.
Yeah.
I have an A license. I've coached college. I've coached professionally. I get called a soccer mom, and I have to prove that I know what I'm doing, and that I can say, here's what I need the wingbacks to do, or here's the run that I need you to make, versus you're a professional player and you've done amazing things and scored goals in World Cups. That's great. But does that make you
a great coach?
Good coach. Yeah.
No, but go ahead, Gooch.
No, I said no. I was agreeing with it.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand that, and I definitely, I would love to know, how did your experience at San Diego Loyal help you transition into what you're doing currently now and the success you're having now?
Yeah, I mean, it taught me a lot about myself. I mean, I kind of did a deep self-reflective dive during COVID and tried to look at my blind spots and tried to look at how can I become a better human, how I can interact differently with people. It also, helping put a club on the field within less than 6 months has kind of given me, the skill set to, help what I'm doing in Stumptown AC with NISA.
Yeah.
Like we're literally, the coach is there now. I'm online, like doing contracts, doing this here. I was in Charlotte last weekend. We had a tryout. He flew in the day of. I had everything ready for him. So like that whole, having gone through doing tryouts, for a professional team here in San Diego, having gone through like, this is how you sign players. This is how you, do the, TMS online for players that played overseas. So it's really prepared me and given me a better skill set for actually, not less coaching and more logistics and front office type stuff. And I'm continuing to learn. And then with the new Women's Pro League project, I think I'm trying to rely on all of the roles that I've had in my life to utilize those skills for that project. And, super exciting, trying to be, talking to all these clubs across the country. There's a real interest in having a Division II Women's Pro League, and just super excited and honored to actually be the one helping drive it. So
Dude, she's first in everything, brother.
Yeah.
Listen, she's the real deal. Honestly, you're the real deal. And
thank you.
When the announcement came out that you were, and actually I want to know like how involved NISA is, but when you were taking part of this new women's league, I was like, yeah, it makes sense. Like we have the MLS, we have the USL, we have all these opportunities on a professional level for the men's side, but then the women's, they have the NWSL, and then everything else is like semi-pro.
Amateur,
semi-pro. So I think this is unbelievable, and I know that from the female community, it's like it's made the chatter, right? Everyone's talking about it.
Yeah. Even from sorry, Coach, I didn't mean to cut you off. Even from our club, we're gonna have a women's team starting this year. Yeah, we're having a women's team starting this year.
I'm calling you.
Yeah, call me. We're having a women's team this year. It's amateur, but we have talked. Hopefully next year, we want to be in the the UWS in that league. So we not at quite the NWSL that level yet, but we're definitely
Bees, we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk.
We need to.
We're gonna get you going on this. And
yeah, for sure, because we're gonna have they're gonna our women's team is gonna be the same as our men's. They're gonna everything that our men's have, our women are going to have the same. You know, there's no difference. There's no only thing different now is they're going to be amateur, and our men's team is going to be a step above that. But as far as how we treat them, what they will have access to, everything will be the same on both sides. So I'm really excited to start our women's program. So it's just going to be nice. Really
Yeah,
nice.
that's great. That's great to hear.
How is NISA involved? Like, is it going to be? I know it's a combination of both leagues, but is it going to end up being NISA Women's Professional League, or like how's
Yeah.
that?
So basically the structure is, so I work for Club 9 Sports, which is like a sports consulting agency, and they run NISA. They have people that run NISA and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically an alliance between NISA and UWS. But it's the pro league is going to be an entity that stands all into itself. So we'll be launched in a new name, a new logo, all of that in the near future.
Awesome.
And basically the alliance piece is that, it's open to anyone. So it doesn't matter if you're a UWS team, a WPSL team, whether you're a NISA franchise that wants to add a women's side, whether you're a non-affiliate, a USL. Hey, if a USL club wants to put a team in, like, we don't have any problem with that. USL might, but that's not my issue to figure out. So,
right.
It's open to anyone. It's not like we're just taking UWS franchises and moving them, or clubs and moving them up. It's open. NISA's relation is that we're going to kind of model our season around how NISA does it. So like the fall to spring with the championship at the end of the spring.
Right.
We've learned a lot of lessons. We've kind of modeled our operating budgets off of lessons that NISA's learned. So it's a lot of sharing of information and different things like that. And, the hope is, again, the women's league will be open to anyone, but the hope is that every NISA team eventually has a women's team as well. That, like that type of even equitable, like you said, Bees, like what the men's team has, the women's team has. So, that it takes money, it takes extra time and investment, but, imagine having double headers, and you can share office staff, you can cut down some of your costs, you can have back-to-back training, you can have, your teams traveling together to, from Indiana to Detroit to go play, and just really have that overarching, more club atmosphere. And, you mentioned, Gooch, that there's chatter among the women. There should be. Like, if you think about it, there's only 10 professional women's teams in the entire US. 10. So I did some research, and if you total up Division 1, 2, and 3 college programs, there's over 1,000.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's not counting junior college or NAIA programs. Like, there are over 1,000 women's college soccer programs. Like, where do those women go?
Right.
They go overseas, or they go to the 10 teams, or they play in the women's amateur league. And, like when I graduated from Michigan, there wasn't a pro league. I played women's amateur, and, I would literally get in my car and drive to Chicago to play a game, scraping together pennies for gas money just because I still wanted to play. And, that it's time. My shirt says the future is female, like it's time. And if you look at the purchase power of women, like, women hold the purchase power in
Everything.
They spend the money. Like, let's be real, whether you're gay, straight, whatever, like, the women spend the money. So, like, why are we not having more women's sports? Why aren't sponsors investing more money in women's sports? Like, why aren't women's sports on TV more? So I could talk about this for hours and hours and hours.
See that you're passionate about it, and as you should be. But I think this is fantastic. As you said, there's only 10 professional teams, and I don't know, some teams are falling off, some teams are being added, et cetera. So I think more access, more opportunities is great. What were you going to say, Mook?
I'll just say, listen, the future is female, but more importantly, the future is Carrie Taylor. Right?
There you go.
So Carrie, I mean, you have so much for our listeners to keep up with you. So can you please give it a little info on how they can follow you, and also can you please plug your fantastic podcast as well?
Oh, sure. So my podcast is called Women Talking Soccer. You can find it, I don't know, on all the podcast things. I'm just the talent. I don't do any of the other stuff. I just talking to them.
See, are you saying more like Landon Donovan of the podcast, where you just come in and
well, on podcasts I am, because I don't know Spotify and YouTube and all that stuff. I'm whatever. I have a producer that does that for me. But the podcast is in conjunction with a group called Women in Soccer, that was launched just this past fall. It's a free online kind of connected, like LinkedIn type thing for women. So you can check out Women in Soccer. And then, I mean, I'm on Twitter and Instagram. I think it's maybe CR Taylor 4 _ CR Taylor 4 or whatever. I don't know. You can find, I mean, Bees just Googled me and found my website.
I did my homework.
No, that's great. Yeah. You can find me, you know, there's articles out there. It was so funny. My boyfriend's mom the other day said, I Googled you. I didn't know you like did all this stuff. I just thought you were like coaching kids. And I was like, yeah.
That's how Mookie is with us. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I just want to say thank you so much for making the time, but same, I would like to also invite you back on to kind of follow up on the progression of the league, as well as the club and the many other things you're going to get into. But your family of the Crack Podcast.
Oh, thank you.
So keep spreading those core values too.
A sticker. I have a sticker for my podcast, so I'll get your addresses.
There you
and
go. Cool.
I'll send you guys a little swag from my podcast. Word. Yeah, no, and I wanna say thank you to all of you, like, you know, just for all the wonderful things you guys are doing within the game, and just as far as, you know, your lives being spent in the game, and being amazing people, and just, you know, thank you. And it's great to it's finally great to meet you. I've heard a lot of things about you, and all good. But no, so just, you know, it takes good people like all of us just to kind of cut through some of the bullshit, to be honest. And so, you know, just keep doing awesome things. So I appreciate all of you as well.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
All right. Take care, Carrie.
All right. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah. There you have it. Been Carrie Taylor.
When I went to her website, she's a writer, she's a coach, she's a mentor. Now she's a director. She does it all. I mean, literally, she's done it all and she's doing it all. So for women, for the sport in general, for just soccer in general, what she's doing is pretty amazing. So we're definitely gonna watch out for Carrie and see what she comes up in the future.
Definitely. Gooch, please take us away.
Well, I don't even know how much I can say after everything Carrie said. I mean, big ups to her and what she's doing with the women. As she said, women are the future. Hopefully men can trail in behind somewhere around there, but I don't know. Catch us next time. Follow us, subscribe, like, comment, all that stuff, so we can continue making these unfiltered podcasts and shows that you all love. All right.
And Bees, what we gotta say?
I think I said peace.